Good morning, AP Psych students. Welcome to, yes, for the seniors' final week of e-learning. I'm going to keep posting stuff just to help us because a week from today is the AP test. As I've said the last few times, if you have any questions or units you want to go over or you want me to double check with you on, let me know. Otherwise, we're just going to keep rolling with practice FRQs and the College Board Review. So processing practice FRQ number 10 is the goal today, and to go over some of the terms, maybe a little more in depth, make sure we understand it. So a survey was conducted to determine the state of the physical and psychological health of high school students. Part A, some of the survey questions related to student stress levels and student absences due to illness. A scatter plot of the data showed that the students with higher stress levels had more absences than students with lower stress levels. Now, normally there might be a picture or graph here. On the original AP question, there was a picture of a scatter plot, but I wasn't able to transfer it. So you see the scatter plot, and it explains to you, in this case, that higher levels of stress had more absences than students with lower levels of stress. Explain how the scatter plot's data is consistent with the exhaustion stage of the general adaptation syndrome. Okay, so remember, general adaptation syndrome is the body's response to stress. It is 3 stages. So you start with alarm, which is the initial reaction, activation of the sympathetic nervous system. Okay, followed by resistance. Resistance is where you're fighting through the stress, maybe pulling an all-nighter to get some English project done, things like that. Or they think alarm. English teacher reminds you, hey, you have a 20-page paper due tomorrow. Resistance is, hey, oh gosh, I got to get this done, and you stay up all night doing it. And then exhaustion is the breakdown, following the usually, hopefully the end of the stress. But you think one of the reasons college kids get sick during finals week is because they're pushing themselves to the limit. Okay, and so exhaustion doesn't just have to do with being tired. It's exhaustion of your immune system. It's an exhaustion of your mental resources. Okay, so it's not just, I'm going to go take a nap. It's, actual physical breakdown, which is why the scatter plot works, or the explanation works. Okay, that you'd have people in the exhaustion stage who are exposed to stress for long periods of time. So, you think, okay, I'm done with this project. Oh, there's another project. Oh, there's another project. Okay, those people who keep at it for extended periods of time are more likely to hit the exhaustion phase of the general adaptation syndrome, and as a result are more likely to get sick. So higher stress levels, more absences. A researcher wants to conduct another study with the same variables, but wants to set it up as a new experiment. I'll explain one reason that an institutional review board might not approve this new study. So we had excuse me, a bunch of different responses to this one. And you guys, kind of reviewing ethical principles, things like that. I had people say informed consent because students would, need to know what they're getting into, or privacy, confidentiality. You can't reveal the results or the names of the students involved. Those are okay, but probably the best answer is, the do no harm sort of aspect of psychological research. So there's not really a term associated with that, but the idea that, in an experiment, if we did this as an experiment, we'd have to push kids to exhaustion, which could cause both mental and physical harm to them. So, we would take group A and make them stay up 2 nights in a row working on an assignment and see if they got sick. Can't really do that in any type of experiment. So that's the main reason it would be considered unethical. Part B, some of the survey questions related to risky behaviors. The results indicated that 90% of the high school students' risky behaviors were influenced by social factors. Explain how each of the following may contribute to the increase in risky behaviors. So de-individuation has shown up on several of these. Unfortunately, it's not likely to be on the AP exam. They're kind of going light on the social psych terms simply because it's a unit that not everybody got to over the course of the year. We did at the beginning of second semester. Still a good term to know: de-individuation, loss of responsibility or sense of identity in group situations. Well, you're more likely to engage in risky behavior if you think you are part of a group that will get away with it, or the idea that they can't punish all of us. So let's say Carlos organizes a school-wide walkout. If it's just Carlos by himself, we can easily identify him, write him up, not let him get away with it. Okay, but if Carlos organizes it and everybody follows him, well, you're just part of the herd. No, can we write up all of you? That would be the question. So you engage in a risky behavior because you've lost that sense of identity. You feel anonymous in a group. Normative social influence, where the main idea of normative social influence is doing something to gain acceptance because it's the norm. That, remember, the norms are the generally accepted behaviors by a culture or by society. So normative social influence, like, well, if everybody else is doing meth, okay, and they seem to be okay, well, why not me too? Okay, so engaging in risky behaviors. Normative social influence doesn't have to be a negative sort of thing. We had that FRQ earlier in the year about whether or not to help in a bystander effect situation, and if it's the norm for people to help out each other when they fall in the hall or need to pick up books, things like that, then that's a positive normal social influence. In this case, it's more of a negative normative social influence because we're talking about risky behavior in groups, and you see the group engaging in risky behavior and you think, wow, why not me too? And that would be negative idea of normative social influence. Part C, explain how each of the following may contribute to good physical or psychological health of high school students. Cognitive restructuring, and in the end, probably not likely to show up on the AP test, mainly because it's more of a mental health sort of term, but good to know it anyway. With cognitive restructuring, we're talking about changing the way you think about or changing the way you approach a situation. Okay, just changing the way kind of you see a task in front of you, and oh my gosh, it's stressful. This is AP test is going to be a disaster. Oh my, you freak out, and that kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that because you're so stressed about it, you get overwhelmed, and you don't do as well on the AP exam. Cognitive restructuring, maybe you view it as a challenge. Okay, so instead of viewing stressors as things that break you down, view it as something you can confront and something that you can overcome. Change the way you think about it, and that can improve your mental health. Incentive motivation, the final term on here. So incentive motivation, think of it as similar to positive reinforcement, the idea of offering rewards to people for good behavior or for any behavior that makes them more likely to continue it in the future. Incentive motivation. So with incentive motivation, I don't know, maybe if we're looking at physical health, kids get extra credit if they exercise for 20 minutes a day. I think about it with my girls here at home in grade school who are, they're still doing gym class every other day. Okay, and the idea is they get a good grade or they get extra candy if they do gym class. Okay, get that physical activity, and physical activity makes you healthier. Okay, or those sorts of things, or instead of motivation, good psychological health. Maybe a student will get a reward for meditating for 20 minutes every day. Okay, and relaxing, and that can help them with their psychological health. Okay. So that's FRQ number 10. I'll post FRQ. Like I said, I'm going to keep posting these. It's good practice. If anything else, make sure you're watching the clock. 25. This would be the type of question that would be the 15-minute question. Okay, because it's the research-based question. There are going to be 6 components of it, kind of like you saw here. And you look at the other one, we'll have one like that today. It's 8 components. That's the 25-minute question. So good luck. See you again in the next couple days.